Good morning. Today's video is going to be dedicated to a channel called 6 Miles to Supper that I've benefited from greatly and found really enjoyable and helped me keep things in perspective. So I hope you'll find it useful as well. Again, it's called 6 Miles to Supper. Kayla, the lady that started this, tries to walk 6 miles a day. That's where the 6 miles to supper comes. And 6 miles to supper comes in the fact that she did intermittent fasting in a way where she ate one meal a day. Um, and that one meal of the day for her was her evening meal, her supper. And so she tried to walk 6 miles during the day and have supper with her family. So 6 miles to supper. And she lost 80 pounds on this plan and has kept it off for a good while. Unlike most of the other, or almost all of the other people that I've talked about before, Kayla, to my knowledge, didn't have any blood sugar problems. She just had seen pictures of herself and felt like she was way overweight and wanted to lose some weight. So she did this one meal a day. OMAD, some people call it OMAD, one meal a day. And it was very successful for her. She lost 80 pounds doing that and has been able to keep it off and has become a lifestyle that she enjoys. And she does that 6 days a week, one day a week on Sunday. She has, I believe, 3 meals a day, normal 3 meals a day with her family. Since she didn't have blood sugar problems, she hasn't concentrated so much on going super low carb during, when I say one meal a day, she eats for 1 hour a day. She has a 1 hour eating window, I believe. That's what most people who do one meal a day. I did one meal a day for quite a while myself when I was trying to lose so much weight, and that's what I did. It's a 1 hour eating window, and you can start out with something light at the beginning of that hour and then finish off the hour with more of a full meal, but try to limit it to that 1 hour. That means you go 23 hours fasting from one day to the next, and just have 1 hour, a 1 hour window that you eat. And like I say, you can get plenty of nutrition in that 1 hour. Sometimes you have to plan that meal a little more carefully to be sure that you get the proper nutrition, but it's very, very, very doable. And, when I look at Ramadan, the practice of Ramadan that's done for a full month, during Ramadan, they don't eat during the daylight hours, and then after the sun sets, they eat. That's about the same thing as this one meal a day thing, and that's been going on for a long, for hundreds, thousands of years, and it hasn't caused any problems. In fact, it's had a lot of health benefits. Dr. Jason Fung, who's my guru that I rely on so heavily, that's one thing he noticed with his patients that do Ramadan is that most of his patients, because he's a kidney specialist, they have severe kidney problems, and they're on dialysis and they're obese, diabetics. But for his patients that practice Ramadan, his Islamic patients, he would have to reduce their insulin and other medications during the month of Ramadan because they weren't taking in so many carbohydrates. And that's what kind of gave him the idea that this could be used therapeutically. Anyway, I won't go too far down that rabbit trail. I usually don't work with any kind of script. I just talk off the top of my head. And I've noticed in looking back at my first few videos that I tend to run down a lot of rabbit trails. And I may need to start scripting these things. I hate that though. I'd rather just speak from the heart. And that's what I've been doing so far, but I've got to stay on track a little more and not go down so many rabbit trails. One thing Kayla does on 6 Miles to Supper is she does a lot of interviews with people who've been really successful following the same kind of plan that she does, the intermittent fasting and But again, like I said, with her, since she wasn't really diabetic, she just wanted to lose some weight. I think she would still eat pizza or pasta or things like that that I wouldn't eat. She would eat that during her 1 hour eating window. And for those of you who are not diabetic, but you just want to lose weight, you might find her information more helpful than some of the stuff from people who are trying to deal with diabetes. If you're not diabetic, don't have insulin resistance, you might find her approach a little more in line with what you need to do. I did make a few notes here on this one because I'm trying not to go down so many rabbit trails. And let's see. Oh, another thing that Kayla is really big on, and that she helped me with a lot, is to not make this stuff so complicated. Please, that's a big stress of hers, is don't make this so complicated. And one reason for not to make it complicated is if it's too complicated, you won't stick with it. And you want to develop a program. I don't think I've said this yet, but this way of life is a way of life for me for the rest of my life. I just turned 64 recently. I wish I had discovered all this at a much younger age, but I plan to eat the way I eat and live the way I live for the rest of my life. It's improved my life so much. I have so much more energy. I sleep better. I've been able to get off of all my medications. And so I plan to do this for the rest of my life. And that's the same belief system that Kayla has. She wants to have a program that she can do for the rest of her life. And that's what she emphasizes. She really feels like it's a big mistake to make your program so complicated and get so caught up in tracking your macros and all this kind of stuff that if you make it too complicated, you won't stick with it. And that's the worst thing you can do. That's where you end up with these yo-yo dieting type things where you're all on fire for something for, maybe a few months, and then you just can't maintain it because it's so complicated. It's so hard to stick with. And then you end up gaining more weight back than you lost in the first place. It's been about a year and a half or whatever. November the 19th of 2018, I haven't done the math yet, but November the 19th of 2018, and then today is June the 16th of 2020. It's about a year and a half, a little over a year and a half, I guess. That's when I started my program, and I lost most of my weight during the first 5 or 6 months. And also I did it without exercise. Kayla walks 6 miles a day, and that's great. I'm all for exercise. I think exercise is very good for you, and I've added a little bit more of that in, but I lost all my weight without exercise, not intentionally. That was not my intention. It just is the way it happened. And so I'm convinced that the way you eat is the most important factor. I think the exercise is good for you in many other ways. It's good to build muscle and endurance and lots of other things, but you can lose the weight without it, believe it or not. Most people forget about calories in, calories out. Forget about calories in, calories out. It doesn't work. For one thing, it insinuates that all calories are the same, and the calories that you get from eating donuts are not the same as the calories that you get from eating salmon and broccoli. You could have equal calorie amounts of those two types of foods, and it is going to affect the hormones in your body, primarily insulin, totally differently. The salmon and broccoli is not going to spike your insulin. Donuts will spike your insulin, and insulin is the body's fat storage hormone. And if you get your 2,000 or 3,000 calories a day eating junk like donuts and pancakes and bagels and stuff like that, you're going to be stimulating insulin like crazy. And insulin is the fat storage hormone of your body, and that is not good. But anyway, Kayla is really great. She's got a real kind of laid back, easygoing personality. And if you've gotten all hyper trying to follow all the guidelines on a keto diet or intermittent fasting, check out Kayla. She'll calm you down. She'll even tell you, stop reading, stop watching anything, even if it means to stop watching my channel. And I would say the same thing. Get the foundation that you need, and then get to work on it, and don't stress yourself out with too many details, believe me, or too many products. I mentioned that in a previous video. You don't need to buy a bunch of products to do this. For intermittent fasting, you don't need to buy anything. You're even going to spend less money on food than you've been used to spending. So don't get all caught up in that. Kayla and her husband also have other channels. I stumbled across one of them that's called Coffee, Coffee, Coffee. I'm going to use a prop here. Coffee, Coffee, Coffee. Here's my coffee mug, Kayla and JR, if you're watching. Here's my coffee mug from Texas. And I love your Coffee, Coffee, Coffee channel. I hope you put up a few more videos. They review different types of coffee. They love coffee. That's another thing. When you're doing intermittent fasting, during those hours when you're not eating, you can still drink coffee. You can, especially black coffee. That's what I did during my weight loss period, was I drank a lot of black coffee. And if you have to have something in it, you can put heavy cream. Don't put low-fat milk or nothing low-fat. Low-fat has more carbs. The lowest carb milk product you could add to your coffee is heavy cream. You can add that to your coffee. Kayla adds half and half, which is the next best choice. And those will work fine. They won't break your fast, and they kind of fill you up and make you not feel so deprived during the time when you're not eating. But check out their channel, Coffee, 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 and you'll get a chance to meet her. Her husband's a hoot. He's really funny, got a great personality, and just a lot of fun to watch. But again, that's kind of a rabbit trail right there, their Coffee, Coffee, Coffee channel. But it's so much fun. They've got a couple of other channels, but by far of the 4 channels that their family puts out, it's Kayla's 6 Miles to Supper is number 1. It's their most subscribed to channel, and then Coffee, Coffee, Coffee is their second most popular channel. And I think they're both fun. They're a lot of fun to watch, and I recommend them highly. I'm going to be doing some other videos. There's more to health than just counting carbs and looking at lab results. And I think we have to look at mind, body, and soul. And I'm going to be doing one of the things my wife and I have enjoyed is taking little day trips to different interesting small towns in Texas. And I'm going to be doing some videos on that, and look for those coming up. Thank you.